actually, but then they have to pray 6 feet apart, so it's kind of scattered throughout the masjid. There's
Gotcha.
hand sanitizer at the entrance.
Wow, like everything.
Yeah, so you come in, you wash your hands, clean your hands with the we call it hand sanitizer. You can't make wudu in the facility, so you have to come with wudu. And then you put your shoes inside a bag. Then you walk to the prayer section, divided by 6 feet, and then that's how it's been rolling for the time being. A little interesting. Yes. How have you been handling this corona?
Just like one day at a time. It's really crazy. We've been in it now for so many months. Yeah, I mean, for me, like the main thing is I have to make sure I go out each day. Like I have to like take a walk or something because, like, alhamdulillah, like my apartment's very comfortable, and it could be worse if I was like living with a bunch of people or like in a really small space. But it's just kind of weird, like the day to day, like it always being the same, and it just makes you feel a little like you're going a little crazy.
Sure. Yeah, it has been a little challenging in terms of like everything is online.
Yep.
It's kind of so like done with Zoom, from meetings to.
It's hard, and I just started a new job, and I'm basically like fully remote because everyone else is on the West Coast, and so it was like even a bigger decision for me because I'm like, wow, like at least right now everyone's all in it together, but then after that, like I'm still going to be virtual unless I moved. But I guess this is like the time to take a chance because it's like we're going to be at home for a while. So
you're gonna be jumping to the fresh coast. Is that what
I don't know how fresh it is right now. I'm a little nervous about all those fires and the air quality out there. I was there before I moved here for a couple of years, and I did like it, but now I kind of feel settled here. And yeah, California, just the Bay especially, just seems really crazy right now.
Yeah, it is pretty.
The fires and all of that, yeah.
I remember when I went out there, it seemed like for like 3 years back to back, there was like a fire. Like at fire. It's in Southern California. So like to the extent that you'll look inside the sky and it's like a different color. It's like the end of the world or something like that.
All of my coworkers were sharing pictures and it was like orange, yellow, and they were like, yeah, it's like really bad. We can't go out right now. And I was like, yikes.
I guess it's fitting that it's orange considering, the politics that we're
Yeah, that's very true. Hopefully that's not a sign of what to expect from the election. I don't know if we can handle that. Sign at the end of times. So do you already have people like registered, or how does this work? Do people just kind of like log in and then we start?
Basically.
Okay.
I'm going on Facebook to see if. Let's see. Yeah. See. So normally what happens is we at the time that we start, people usually trickle in within like the first 5 minutes.
Okay.
After 5 minutes, then we start, have a sharp ending on the hour.
Okay.
All I could think of is there was some technical difficulty in terms of I started trying to really push to get the time switch a little bit in terms of like on my end because I put in the wrong time initially. So I'm wondering if there was people who came at 5. You know what I'm saying? There was 2 flyers that went out. There's one that the change. So that all I could think of is that might have been thing.
Yeah, like a miscommunication.
That's mine.
Yeah, I just remembered that we had talked about what time would work, and I had said, could we do 7? Just because I would feel comfortable like right after work being able to do it.
No, I mean,
I didn't remember. I was like, I don't know if I said 5 was okay because I was like, I don't know if I can guarantee 5 because I'd still technically be working. And like today was just so busy, but like yeah, hopefully.
Oh no, you
still gonna be people on.
What's that?
Hopefully still people will be able to come on. I feel like most of these, they're all like high school students, right? So they would have, I don't know, homework or school. Do they have homework at 5 or school at 5? I don't know what they're doing with their day.
Kids have homework, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So hopefully this would be like
prime time,
a better time for them. I don't know.
And Selma, she's mashallah, she's down for the communications team at Al-Hijrah.
Okay, great.
But she's more like handling logistics type thing. So a question I have for you, if you don't mind. We're at 7:10.
Okay.
Apparently we don't have anyone here right now. So how would you feel if you were to give like a kind of like maybe like a 5 minutes like 5-10 minute talk about boundaries and self-care and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm.
Be comfortable with that?
Yeah. Do you want me to just like?
And then what I'll do is press the record.
Oh, okay.
And then after that, I might ask you some questions regarding what you said.
Okay.
And we use to kind of for the next event. Someone might chime in while you're talking, and that'll be perfectly fine. But after that 10 minutes, then we could stop. But we could use that 10-minute clip to kind of like share.
Oh, okay, yeah, that works.
So we make the use of this. Cause I don't want to wait. Alhamdulillah, you're giving us your time, so I want to make sure.
Yeah, no worries.
Into my interview skills, you know. You know what I'm saying? A few good men swag.
Yeah, it's hard to like lecture on these topics too, because I feel like I'm not necessarily an expert, but it's more like sharing advice, experience, and like I was more interested in kind of like conversation about like how people can share like what they're doing or what their needs are, and then we can kind of help each other out.
Most definitely. Let's do that. Bismillah. Okay, so I'm about to press record, and then I'll start it off like I would start it off if we were actually if we had like guests like in attendance, inshallah. So let me press the recording. Make sure you got your eyes, how you want it, looking in the camera and everything. Okay, you got your background looking good, mashallah.
My fake background.
It looks familiar, mashallah. Okay. With that being said, let's go. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Muhammad Oda. I'm the youth director here at Al-Hijrah, and we have our amazing, mashallah, our amazing guest speaker today for Fast and Learn, Nesima, mashallah. Now, before we, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
Before we get into the topic, I want to do what we normally do in terms of community agreements, ground rules, inshallah. So let's see. Bismillah. And this is that point where, you look at your background and you be like, you know what? I don't know if I want to share this with the world. So let me close that down. I'm like, uh-oh. Okay, let's see.
I don't know if you can hear like sound from downstairs outside. I'll just mute myself so it doesn't.
Most definitely. So to begin, the first ground rule that we'll go over is everyone has value. Basically what this means is that we want everyone who is listening, whether you're listening on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube, or whether you're in this discussion in a Zoom webinar, we want you to contribute by sharing your perspective and your ideas. And we want you to know that everyone has something that they know that the rest of us will benefit from. So everyone has value. This is not a one-person show. And the second ground rule is agree to disagree. It is not surprising that when you have a group of people that people don't see eye to eye. So what we don't want to do is we don't want to necessarily, we don't want to stop people from sharing who they are and what they are. We just want to at least hope and have a good opinion of people. And at the end of the day, agree to disagree. We're not gonna all see eye to eye on everything, and that's okay. There's growth that can be experienced through that process of disagreeing. Number three, what would Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam do? This is especially we like to tie this to a tendency of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to be committed to the tradition, but also to couple that with compassion to the people. So as we engage with one another, we want to make sure that we definitely hold on to the tradition to the best of our ability. We want to be committed to that, but we also want to be committed to compassion, and we don't want to hit people upside the head and over the head with our understanding. We want to embody commitment and compassion when interacting. And lastly, skillful disclosure. Normally, we would have what happens here stays here, or the no Takashi rule, aka no snitching on what's being said in the gathering, or Vegas rules. But because this will be broadcasted, we want to make sure that we are skillful in what we decide to disclose of ourselves, taking consideration that it's not just being presented to this room. So with that being said, I'll stop sharing my screen and I will pass the mic to, the poetess, the journalist, the community organizer, what I'm saying, soul sister, whatever you want to say, mashallah. I'll pass it to Sister Nesima. Bismillah.
Thank you so much for that. It's an honor to be here. Excited to talk about a topic that I find really important, and that I've learned in my own life has been really important. I didn't always think that, and I hope that it will be a relevant topic for you all to think about and discuss. So today we're going to be talking about self-care and boundaries. And I want to say disclaimer that I am not a psychologist or a therapist or anything of that nature, but I am someone who has gone to therapy for the last 3 or so years, and have also just been on my own journey of self-care and mindfulness, and what I'm sharing is just from my own experience, and so please take from it what you would like and leave whatever does not work for you. So I first kind of wanted to talk about self-care, and what that means. What does it look like? So self-care is defined as taking care of oneself, obviously, from your physical, your mental, and your emotional health. A lot of people may think self-care means like just buying stuff for yourself, ignoring other people, and just like going into your own hole and, just tuning everything out. And what I want to say is that self-care does not have to be something that you spend money on. It is not supposed to be something expensive or materialistic. It also doesn't necessarily mean that you are distancing yourself from others or letting go of your responsibility or your connection to your the relationships you have. Community is very important, and especially right now in this pandemic where we're all, separated and feeling really lonely. Having a community is really important. But even with all of that in mind, taking care of yourself is really important, because you can't show up for your community, right, if you're not first taking care of yourself. So self-care can come about in a lot of different ways. It really depends on you. So you can definitely Google a list of things for self-care. There are a lot of ideas and suggestions, but some of those may not apply to or may not be relevant to you and your own lived experience. So I can share some of the things that I do that I consider self-care. I love reading. I love taking walks. I love cooking or baking when it's when I'm not really hungry, it's just something I enjoy doing. I also have been starting to do yoga in the morning and meditation. You can also incorporate more prayer. Breathing exercise is really important in self-care. A lot of times we want to just eat whatever we want to make us feel better, but actually thinking about what you put into your body is really important, and that can count as self-care. Sleep is very important, and taking naps it's one of those things where you thought you weren't going to care about sleeping or naps once you got older, but then you realize you're going to regret that you never wanted to sleep before, because sleeping is such an important restorative practice. And self-care is also saying no, and I'll talk about that a little bit more when we talk about boundaries, but saying no to things that you don't want to do, saying no to invite, people, experiences, energy into your life. That's also a form of self-care. So as you can see, a lot of the things I mentioned don't require you to pay for anything, right? Self-care is something you can do for yourself every day, whether it takes 5 minutes or you want to take an hour. It's a habit of taking care of yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself, who will? And especially because of stress, life is always stressful, but especially right now with the pandemic, that even though I'm home working, my whole day and my whole life is not supposed to be about work. I don't have that separation anymore the way we used to. And for those of you in school, you're also everything is online, and it can feel really frustrating. So you really have to make sure to take some time away from the computer and the screen, go make sure that you're taking time to take care of yourself, because it's not a selfish thing. It's really important because you value and respect yourself and your body. And it's a sign of respecting the one life that Allah is giving you, and that it's your duty to hold on to that, and to show that you understand what you've been given, and you want to be the best that you can be. And if you're not caring for yourself, then you will slowly start to burn out. And that's a very bad road that you don't want to get on. So I'll pause to see if you have any questions about self-care.
So self-care is interesting because as you started talking, it dawned on me like how they correlate with one another, the self-care and setting up boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like in many ways, especially if you're doing community work, a lot of times, you might personally, or me, I might feel maybe not always accessible, or people can't always have access to me, right? Mm-hmm. And of course, I mean, you can only give so much of yourself, and if you don't take care of yourself, it's going to affect your quality and your ability, I guess, to actually be of service to people. So, as a way of self-care, it made me think of things that people might do as a coping mechanism kind of type thing, which might be detrimental to their selves, right? So I'm curious to know your thoughts, distinguishing between the two. How do we distinguish between options in terms of self-care, mm-hmm. as opposed to, let's say, some other form that might be detrimental, but we might be doing these things as a way to kind of soothe ourselves and relieve some of the,